I never imagined I'd find myself protecting my own groceries from a grown woman, yet there I stood on my front porch, holding 4 bags of food I'd worked hard to buy, when she suddenly showed up. Karen Miller, the self-proclaimed ruler of our homeowners association, marched straight up my walkway, her gaze fixed intently on my shopping bags as if she'd spotted easy prey. "That's far too much food for a single person living alone," she declared in a sharp, accusing voice, her hand already stretching toward the handles of my eco-friendly bags. "My kids need to eat more than you do. This is downright selfish." I pulled back, gripping the bags more firmly. "Excuse me, these are groceries that I purchased myself. I'm not handing them over to you." Karen's expression twisted with outrage as she actually attempted to snatch one of the bags right out of my hands. "You don't need all of this. I've got 3 starving children waiting at home." This is basically hoarding in the middle of a crisis. We ended up in the most absurd tug-of-war ever been part of when Mrs. Patel, the neighbor living across the street, walked out onto her porch and raised her phone. "I'm filming this," she shouted over. "Do you want me to call the police, Derek?" Karen instantly let go of the bag, but pointed her finger aggressively right in my face. "You're going to regret this. I'm reporting you to the police myself. Hoarding supplies during a shortage violates community guidelines. You'll find out who really holds the power around here." She turned and stomped away, already yanking out her phone and acting like she was making the call. Little did I realize at the time that this ridiculous encounter was only the start of my ongoing ordeal with Karen. I had moved into Oak Ridge Estates roughly 8 months earlier, attracted by the neatly kept homes and the calm suburban vibe. Sure, there was a homeowners association, but I assumed that simply meant attractive landscaping and shared swimming pools. As a software developer who mostly works remotely, I generally keep to myself. The ideal neighbor, in other words, quiet, reliable, and non-invasive. For the initial few months, life was perfectly serene. I went to just one HOA meeting, where I first encountered Karen Miller, the association's president. She wore that specific type of smile that didn't quite warm her eyes while she questioned me about my job, whether I intended to start a family in the neighborhood anytime soon, and if I fully grasped the high standards that Oak Ridge Estates upheld. I probably should have spotted the red flags back then, but I simply nodded courteously and returned to my peaceful routine. That arrangement held up well until 3 weeks ago, when a powerful storm took out electricity throughout the area and threw supply lines into chaos. All at once, supermarkets were running on restricted inventory, and deliveries turned unreliable. That's when I began noticing Karen paying unusually close attention to my shopping patterns. Since I work from home, I can dash out fast whenever I get alerts that nearby stores have been restocked. Living alone with the flexible schedule gave me a slight edge, although I was only purchasing what I actually required. Karen, though, appeared to view my ordinary grocery runs as some sort of direct affront to her household. She started hanging around near my driveway on days when deliveries were arriving throughout the neighborhood. One afternoon, I spotted her rummaging through my recycling bin, likely tallying up how many boxes of pasta I'd used. "Must be great to dine so lavishly during a shortage," she commented with a mocking grin once she realized I'd seen her. "Some of us actually have families to feed, you know." I just offered a polite smile and headed back indoors, but the situation worsened from there. She began tossing out remarks every time she saw me carrying in bags another lavish meal for the single guy, or stockpiling while everyone else scrambles. I tried brushing it off, hoping she'd shift her irritation elsewhere. Then arrived the text message. Somehow, she'd gotten my phone number from the neighborhood directory and fired off a lengthy, guilt-inducing note about how families in need were suffering while lone residents were overbuying. She requested that I provide a generous contribution to support households like hers, which were considered priority members of the community. I responded courteously, declining and stating that I was only getting what I needed, while recommending she reach out to local food banks if her family required help. That's when things turned hostile. She shot back a harsh message, criticizing my absence of community spirit and warning that the HOA board would address troublesome residents at the upcoming meeting. I began keeping records of everything, saving the texts and jotting down details of every encounter, just in case. My gut feeling warned me this wouldn't fade away quietly. The conflict reached its peak last Tuesday. After almost a full week of stores being emptied within hours of new stock arriving, I finally scored a solid shopping trip. Nothing extravagant, just essentials like eggs, bread, milk, chicken, plus some baby carrots and apples. I was hauling the final bags from my car when Karen suddenly appeared at the end of my driveway, arms folded tightly and eyes squinted in suspicion. "I see you've been hoarding once more," she stated in a poisonous tone, moving closer as the rest of us fight to put food on the table for our kids. I drew in a deep breath. "Karen, these are just normal groceries. I'm not hoarding," I said, trying to keep my voice level. She trailed right behind me onto the porch. "You live by yourself. You do not need all that food. My children haven't had fresh fruit in days. As HOA president and a mother, I have priority in this community. I get that stores are running low right now, but these are my groceries," I repeated, more firmly this time. "I'm happy to tell you when the stores restock if that helps. Information doesn't put food in my kids' mouths," she snapped, her voice climbing. "I need those groceries. You're being selfish, and you're breaching the community spirit clause of the HOA covenants." I was 99% sure no such clause existed, but before I could point that out, she lunged and seized 2 of my bags. "I'm taking these. File a complaint if you want. The board will back me. Karen, let go of my groceries right now," I ordered, keeping my tone calm but hard. "This is theft. It's resource redistribution," she hissed back, yanking harder. "You don't need this much. I have children." That's when I realized half the street had stepped outside. Phones were up. People were openly watching the most ridiculous tug-of-war in suburban history. Mr. Johnson next door was filming everything. Karen saw the audience and went louder. "Everyone here knows this is wrong," she yelled, still clutching my bags. "He's hoarding while families go hungry. He lives alone." Mrs. Patel walked straight up the driveway. "Karen, I'm recording since the second you grabbed his bags. Let go or we're calling the police." "Go ahead and call," Karen dared, grip tightening. "I'll explain to them how he's violating emergency protocols by stockpiling. I'm the HOA president." I set down the 2 bags I still controlled, pulled out my phone, and started dialing. "I'm calling 911 right now, Karen. Last chance to drop my property and leave." Her eyes went wide with outrage, but she didn't budge. "You wouldn't dare. Everyone knows I'm just trying to feed my family." I hit call, put it on speaker, and the dispatcher picked up within seconds. Calmly, I explained that a neighbor was attempting to forcibly take my groceries and refusing to leave my property. "This is absurd," Karen shrieked, finally releasing the bags. "I'm the one being victimized. He's the one breaking community guidelines." While I finished giving the dispatcher my address, Mr. Johnson walked over and tilted his phone toward me. Clear. Doorbell footage showed Karen, not 20 minutes earlier, trying to pop my trunk while I was returning the shopping cart. "She was going for your car before you even got out," he said quietly. My camera caught the whole thing. Karen went ghost white. "I was only checking if he needed assistance. Neighborhood watch falls under my duties as president." 2 patrol cars rolled up within minutes. The officers separated us and started taking statements. Karen immediately launched into a passionate monologue about community welfare and how single residents were draining resources from families with children. "So you acknowledge you tried to take his property?" one officer asked. "I was reallocating to those with greater need," she insisted. "It's for the greater good. He doesn't require that quantity for one person." The officer's face stayed perfectly neutral. "Ma'am, that's not how private property laws work. You can't seize someone else's belongings, no matter your justification." "But I'm the HOA president," she protested, as though the title came with diplomatic immunity. "HOA presidents don't have legal authority to take personal property," he replied. "And according to this footage, you also attempted to enter his locked vehicle without permission." "I was just checking." Her voice cracked into a shrill whine. "This is completely unjust. I have children." The officers spoke quietly to each other for a moment, then faced her again. "Ma'am, based on the video evidence and multiple witness statements, you're under arrest for attempted theft and harassment." Her mouth actually fell open as handcuffs came out. "You cannot be serious. I'm a respected community leader. I was doing this for my family. You have the right to remain silent," the officer began. The entire cul-de-sac watched in stunned silence as Karen was walked to the patrol car, still ranting about bylaws and resource equity. The expression on her face when the cuffs clicked, pure disbelief that her HOA crown offered zero protection, was priceless. 3 days later, formal charges arrived: attempted theft, harassment, and attempted breaking and entering. Bail was set at $5,000, along with a temporary restraining order barring her from my property. The HOA board held an emergency session and voted to suspend her presidency until the case concluded. The knockout punch came at arraignment, when the judge informed her she faced up to a year in jail and fines up to $2,500. Witnesses say Karen sank into her chair and kept whispering over and over, like a broken record, "But I'm the HOA president," as if saying it enough times might rewrite reality.